might land up costing yourself hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. But absolutely, there is an investment to work with us for the next 6 months to a year. But first, let's teach you guys exactly what our process consists of. And let me share with you guys, before we get started, a few students, just a few out of hundreds, that are already working with us in the buy, land, build house model, which we call buy, build, flip. Okay? Does this work? Well, take Richard, for example. He's been working with us for just a little over a year. He's just finished executing his first build at the time that we record this video, and he's generating over $135,000 net profit on that one build that's sitting right behind him. We have Marlon. Marlon is absolutely killing it. He's already building a fourplex. This is one of 5 homes that he built in the first 18 months as a student in our buy, build, and flip model. Marlon is an exceptional student. He probably is one of the more successful ones because it's been less than 2 years. He's done over 5 homes, has 3 more under construction at the time we record this, and he's doing a fourplex. So very successful. He had no construction experience whatsoever before he started with us 18 months ago. Dave did have construction experience, but we were able to teach him how to go out and scale what he was already doing, scaling, and how to do it under a business model that was more financially viable instead of competing against the big program builders like D.R. Horton, LGI Homes, and others. But without a further ado, I know what most people are sitting here thinking right now. You're sitting back and you're saying, isn't buying land and building houses an undertaking? Isn't it difficult? How can normal people like myself learn how to go out and do this? And the answer is, the process is not difficult. It's not hard. You just don't know the process yet. And when I first started out 25 plus years ago, I never complicated the process. I built the process for myself. I sat down, I outlined it, and without any construction experience, I started building houses. And in my very first build, I made over an $80,000 profit over 25 years ago. And that exact same process, the exact same means that I get $80,000 plus profit over 25 years ago, I want to share with you guys today, because we're still doing the exact same process as we speak and as this video is being recorded. And so what does this training session consist of? Well, I want to explain to you guys today the 12 exact steps of how we buy land and build houses and what the sweet spot is in our business model. Why does this business model, compared to most other business models, work so well compared to the mass builders and the multi-million-dollar mansions that people build? There's a specific sweet spot that makes what we do work so well. I'm going to explain that exact sweet spot to you guys today, so that even if you don't work with us, you know what that business model is and what it consists of. That way you have the information where our profitability really comes from. It's a simple, repeatable business plan that'll make you over $80,000 plus on every single build. It even did it through the 2008 recession, and now that we sit in 2023, at the time we're recording this video, it will do the exact same thing for you today in this business if you implement and duplicate the process that we ourselves are duplicating and doing right now as well. Is this strategy right for me? Well, it's right for you if you decide it's right for you. Anybody can do it, just like Marlon and even Richard didn't have construction experience. It's for anybody who desires to be able to do it. And I tell you that it's for anybody that wants to make the process and wants to do it through the means of buying land and building houses from the ground up. It's very profitable, very lucrative. But how can we help you is the big question. How can we help you? And that's what today is all about, is how we can help you succeed in buying land, building houses, and our buy, build, and flip business model. So you're probably sitting here and you're thinking, where do I find the right piece of land to build on? We're going to explain to you exactly where you find the land, exactly where you go to seek out the sweet spot of our business model, and how we know each and every time that the land we find is going to make and reap us a return that is profitable in excess of $80,000 to $100,000 every time you build. Now, what does the entire process look like from start to finish? I'm going to go through the entire 12-step process with you guys today. I'm going to explain to you guys in depth exactly what that process looks like. By the time we finish this video, you will know the step-by-step process of what we're doing in our buy land build house model. We're also going to teach you how to finance your project. That's one of the biggest obstacles for most people. They sit back and say, bro, what if I don't have money? What if I What if I don't have the financial ability to do this because I'm financially distressed? Look, when I got started doing this, ladies and gentlemen, I had a 460 credit score. I had just been shut down by the FTC. Well, not me personally, but the multi-level marketing company I was with. I went from making $25,000 a month to zero overnight, lost 6 offices, a house, a car, a motorcycle, and everything I had, and I was over $106,000 in debt. No credit, and I was able to buy land, build houses. When I started, I was probably in a worse position than most of you guys watching this video today. So financing is going to be one of the most integral pieces of what we're going to talk about today. By the end of this video, you're going to understand not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but multiple ways that you can finance these projects. What about the recessionary market that we sit in today? Perfect. When I started buying land and building houses in the late 90s, if you go back and explore historically, we were in a recession. Then I lived through the 2008 recession. I got crushed on my commercial retail stuff, but the one thing that kept working through that recession that helped me fund new investments was buying land and building houses. And every single house that I built during the 2008 recession, all the way through the recession, 2012, we continued to make $80,000 to $100,000 net profit on every single build, with the exception of 2, because we fire sold them at only a $42,000 profit and a $38,000 profit, because we didn't understand where things were going, because we were scared. And I'll tell you, with the exception of those 2 homes, we still profited on those, by the way. We've been able to go out and make $80,000 to $100,000 plus for the last 25 plus years. We've built hundreds and hundreds of homes. Why would you buy land and build houses is the biggest question for most people. They're sitting back, they're going, Jerome, why would I buy land and build houses? Well, build your own business and allow tax incentives as well as freedom and flexibility. You know, I'll tell you what, I tell my kids the exact same thing I'm telling you guys. You can go out and I tell my kids, you could be a teacher, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be a plumber, you could be an electrician, you could be whatever the hell you want to be. But all I tell them is learn the process of buying land and building houses, because if I know one thing about my kids, if they buy land and build houses indefinitely, no matter how well their spouse does, no matter what they have going on in their life, what they choose to do because they either love it, like it, or landed up in that field, they will always be financially secure if they learn this process of buying land and building houses. So I always tell them, don't focus on anything other than this if you just want to be able to. So I always tell my kids, focus on this, learn how to buy land, build houses, because if you do, you'll always be taken care of financially. And I'm telling you guys the exact same thing. Now, number 2, build a professional team around you that will be doing the physical labor while you earn large profits. Look, ladies and gentlemen, when I first started buying land and building houses, I was running a full-time concrete company that I just opened up, and I was still involved in multi-level marketing. I was flying across the country doing training, and I wasn't the one picking up a hammer building these houses. I learned one incredible thing that I was able to utilize from multi-level marketing here, and that was how to build a team. And so we're going to teach you guys how to build a professional team of not only contractors, but realtors, title agents, and people that can help you, that professional trades that can help you buy land, build houses, while you do what you're already doing full-time. So you don't have to quit your full-time job unless you want to. You want to come into this and do this full-time, but you don't need to. And come in and make large profits off the efforts of other people. Now, you can work part-time or full-time. So if you want to, why would you want to do this? Because you can continue doing what you're doing. If you love what you do right now, or if what you do right now affords you a lifestyle that you don't want to get rid of and you have a family, I don't encourage anybody to quit their job. I tell you, you can come in here and with 10 hours a week or less, you can buy land and build houses. Because when the framers are out there framing the house, you don't kick back a lawn chair, sit back with your iced tea and watch them frame the house. You go in, you check. There's a time for checks and balances, and then you let them go to work. It might take you 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. And then you take off to work and you let them do what the professionals do, and that's frame the house. Same thing with drywall, painters, electricians, plumbers, and everybody else. And all it is keeping a level of management, of checks and balances, holding people accountable. Why would you want to buy land built houses? To add a 6-figure profit to your income. You know that If we added a six-figure income to 91% of the population, you are in the top 1/10 of 1% of all money in the history of Adam and Eve, which means it's going to give you more time to do the things you love to do with those you love most. For most of you guys, that's family, children, spouses, all your loved ones, yourself, the golf course, whatever it is. It'll give you more time, freedom, flexibility. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started here. I want you guys to put all your distractions aside. I want you to cut off Facebook, Instagram. I want you to silence your phone. I want you to turn off the television. I want you guys to pay close attention. Stop checking emails if you're at work. All distractions set aside and listen up right now. This, ladies and gentlemen, has the potential to be life-changing for you if you pay attention and listen to the training that we put together for you today. Now look, who is this for? For those of you guys sitting back going, well, Jerome, I'm skeptical. I don't know if this is for me. It's for anybody who wants to learn and earn an additional six figures every year buying land and building houses. For business professionals, if you're a business professional, doctors, attorneys, dentists are some of our largest investors in a lot of our commercial assets. For those of you guys who want to increase your net worth, no matter what you're doing right now, this is for you. For anybody who's buying land and building houses, is buying land and not building houses, but they're buying and building and if they're fix and flipping houses, or if you're doing wholesaling or any of that stuff, listen up, fix and flippers, listen up. This is more profitable and it's way less headaches because the variables don't change. In fix and flips, we've done it. I hate fix and flipping. And one of the biggest things I hate about fix and flipping is the fact that every time I open up a wall on a new house that we fix and flip, there's unforeseen variables on every single house. Not here. The process of buying land and building houses is exactly the same. Doesn't matter if you're building in China, doesn't matter if you're building in the US, doesn't matter if you're building in Canada, it doesn't matter if you're building in California, New York, Florida, or someplace in the middle of Kansas City. The process of buying land and building houses is the same for every single house, okay? With the exception if you're at sea level and there's some minor variations. But the exact process from start to finish is exactly the same on every single house. So fix and flippers, listen up. Trade contractors, listen up. Wholesalers, listen up. Less work, more profitable, right here. Contractors who want to become investors. Those of you guys who have been pounding nails, painting walls, doing roofs, wiring the houses, that are sitting back working for these general contractors that are making six figures, making millions of dollars doing this, listen up. This is your opportunity. I know that most of you guys have been wanting to learn this process yourself and learn all of how to get money, all how to finance it, and how to do it. The only difference between them and you is you haven't learned the process that they already know, and they're not going to share it with you. This is your opportunity. It's for those of you guys who have real estate experience and investors and investments, but you want to get to the next level in real estate. This is your opportunity to learn the process of building so that you can take this and build not just one home, but maybe a fourplex, maybe 10 units, maybe 100 units, depending on where you're at and what your ambitions levels are. This is for anybody who's looking for a brand new career where you can be your own boss. And for those of you guys that don't want a new career, want to stay at your career, you can do that too and do this part-time. But increase your cash flow. But for those of you guys who are retiring, I have a retired firefighter that's killing it. I have a retired boxer and a UFC fighter that's just killing it, her and her husband. And we have people of all different walks of life that are coming in and saying, I want to do this because I want something different in my life. And this is for you. So meet a few of our students. This individual, Nanda, after completing the 5-day land challenge yesterday, we closed on the first 3 lots. Next Monday, we are making an offer on 5 lots right next door. This place is booming for new construction that fits the business model. Now it's time to dig. And so you see the beautiful homes on the right-hand side across the street. Those are the 3 lots they just bought, and they're going to buy 5 more. Right here, Joshua. Right back to it, getting ready for concrete. That house is actually framed and finished now. At the time that this picture was taken, he had just finished his dirt work. Look at that view in the back, just gorgeous. And that could be you in just the next few months. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of you guys sit back and you say, yeah, Jerome, but you've already made millions of dollars. You're different than us. How do I know that somebody like myself who comes from a normal, average background can do something like this? Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't come from that. I came from an average home. That house right there that you guys see, this is the house I grew up in. That house was 1,350 square foot, and it was a government-assisted loan that my parents got. This house was done through a government-assisted program when my parents were working at Levi Strauss in the factory in the Levi company, manufacturing Levi's. My mom and my dad was working at a grocery store just out of college, and at that time was going off to become an accountant. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't come from wealth. We came from an average median income. And at the time, that house didn't look that pretty. That's been renovated since then. That came off of Google Earth. But that is the physical address and the real house that I grew up in. And so I didn't come from wealth. I just came from a family that instilled education in us. They told us to go to school, get a good education, get a good job. And the world of entrepreneurship was never introduced to me until I got involved in multi-level marketing and direct sales. And so the whole point being is, it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what side of the train tracks you come from. It doesn't matter what your ethnicity is. All that matters is, it doesn't matter where you came from. All that matters is where you want to go. And so for those of you guys who are sitting back going, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is for wealthy people like you, Jerome. No, this is for anybody who has the desires of buying land, building houses, generating some profits, and is willing to pay attention, learn, and execute. Those are the three key components. Intention, action-driven results. Intentional, action-driven results. So look, I started a construction company in 1998. Okay, and when I did this, I was at a financially distressed place in my life. But I realized how much revenue there was in construction, which at the time, I didn't know that there was money in construction. My parents told me that if I didn't go to school, get a good education, I'd land up construction and I'd be broke. And that's what people that weren't educated land up. Hence, I go to pharmacy school, get out, I land up in network marketing, direct sales, I landed up in the road of entrepreneurship, struggled for a long time, started making a little bit of money, and then the FTC shut it down, and by sheer accident, I landed up in construction as a means of survival. At a time when I was financially distressed, had no clue there was so much money to be made in construction. I had no clue at all. I ran a full-time construction company while I was back in college, and at the time I was doing those two things plus still moonlighting in multi-level marketing, and I was buying land and building houses. My very first one in 1999. From the success of our construction company, I started investing in real estate, not because I thought I would get wealthy doing it, but because I knew it was a good investment. And I was scared to lose everything again without a solid investment foundation. I wanted something tangible. I didn't want this pie-in-the-sky multi-level marketing garbage. I didn't want this pie-in-the-sky business opportunity with Lucky the Leprechaun and a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, which didn't exist. I wanted tangibility. And I knew that if I just bought a simple rental home, I didn't complicate the process. No one had taught me about real estate, didn't know anything about it. I just knew that if I owned a home, I had something tangible that I could rent and make cash flow on in spite of my own efforts, and I'd have something tangible that in spite of what happened financially or economically, I still owned that house, okay? That's how I got into real estate. And it started with one little rental home, went to two, a small piece of land, and a small retail center. I built a house on the piece of land, and then millions upon millions of dollars in a portfolio of holdings and transactions that we still do today. Hundreds of homes that we've built. We've built probably over 500 homes at the times that we've recorded this video. And this is actually one of my multifamily apartment complexes here. It's 104 units, $33 million apartment complex in Phoenix metro area that is finished construction, stabilizing right now at the time that we're actually recording this video. And those are actual architectural photos of that apartment complex. And we utilize the same process that we do in buying land and building houses. Our real financial success, what really stabilized us, it really came from buying land and building houses. In less than 3 years, I was still running my business. We were doing over $1 million a year, but hence we weren't making $1 million a year net profit. Okay? But in less than 3 years, I went from making six figures on every single home to becoming a millionaire in my late 20s through the means of buying land and building houses. That is on the right-hand side is one of my actual homes, and that's the backdrop. It's gorgeous in the backdrop. And this lower section here is 3 of our homes in Desert Hot Springs, California. These were the 3 years where I realized I needed to add this into my business model, ladies and gentlemen. When I did this, I sat back, and when I did 1 home, I said, damn, I made 80 grand. So 6 months later, I did 2 more. That first year, I built 3 homes, and I made about $250,000 net profit. And I thought to myself, shoot, let's double this down. In the first quarter of the second year that I started building, I built 4 homes, and I landed up making just shy of $400,000, about $350,000 in net profit. And so I went down, did another 4, so I did 8 that year, and then did the same thing. Year number 3, I went all in. I built 12 homes in that year. I hit millionaire status. My net profitability, taxes were paid, everything off the board, and I knew I was a millionaire.
Right now.
Through the means of buying and building houses, and through the means of what we're talking about today and how we finance those as well. Contractors and fixer flippers, listen up, because I know you're sitting back going, why would I build new houses? It seems like an undertaking for me. It is so much simpler than what you've been doing right now. Contractors, you sit back, monotonous, and most of you guys, I know this because I did drywall, I did metal stud framing while I was in college, my early years, and I was sitting there, every house was the exact same process. I go in, I sand it, we bed the drywall mud, it was the exact same thing. If you're pulling wire, if you're doing plumbing, if you're doing roofing, every day in, day out, same process. But you're not profiting. Fix and flippers, the variables are massive each and every single time you do it. You look at these houses down below, you're sitting back trying to look for profitability in every single home, and you don't even know if there's profit in there. I don't know, when 2008 hit, I had some fix and flip properties. I think I lost money on every single one. If I didn't, I don't know. I know that for sure that I didn't make a profit. That's for sure. This process, the process is the same, way less variables, and I'll tell you guys, it's less stress. You don't have to worry about holding on to buying it right, renovating it at the right price, and selling it at the right price. You understand the process. The process is the same every single time. Here's my mission statement, ladies and gentlemen. It's to help as many people create financial independence in real estate through the means of buying land and building houses and long-term passive income. This is active income, ladies and gentlemen. The goal is to teach you guys how to make massive active income that you can deploy into passive income through the means of acquiring assets that are cash producing. But hands down, why kill yourself running through the rat race, pounding the phones, doing wholesaling, doing fix and flips, when this is more profitable and you can go out and take the larger profits and invest in passive income quicker. Now in 2008 recession, since we're sitting in a recessionary market right now, this is important. Listen up. I invested in distressed assets, okay? I took these distressed assets in compromised areas, places like California, Phoenix, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, New York, okay? Those were the top 5. That was called the Big 5. The 5 most financially distressed real estate markets in the country. And what I did is I started investing in garbage real estate. And I took that garbage real estate and I turned it around. I bought it for so inexpensive. We were buying homes for under $30,000 for full single-family homes. We were buying buildings. We were buying fourplexes for under $50,000. We were buying little retail centers. We were buying distressed assets during the recession. Why? Because values go down during the recessionary market. I was able to keep investing in these distressed properties and developing passive income through the means of building homes and developing single-family homes, because we were building in the sweet spot that I'm about to explain to you guys right now. Every time a house sold, I bought more distressed real estate. I kept buying more real estate, adding to my portfolio, continuing to build my rental income, because the houses I built, I didn't want to rent. The houses I built, I wanted to sell for profit. Now, if you're an Airbnb or a short-term rental arbitrage investor, if you want to get into this, you can build your own properties and lease them with equity, massive equity in them, perfect. But I was using it as a tool to go out and build myself passive income through the means of profits. Now, understand, today's market by far, could be extremely scary and compromising if you don't know exactly what you're doing. What makes what we do work so well is that we're sitting in the market time, we're sitting at the perfect place at the perfect time during this recessionary market. Why is there a housing shortage? Well, if you sit back and you go through and understand the low inventory of housing and the shortage that exists right now that's being published upon article upon article and article, ladies and gentlemen, you'll understand that there's over 7 million rooftops in short supply across the entire United States. When we go into a recessionary market, the good news is that only delays the amount of time that it's going to take builders to catch up with that shortage, because builders slow down because most of them are servicing the average median home buyer. Okay? The average median home buyer. Pay attention next. I'm going to explain to you why our business model does not focus on that in just a little bit. Now, the U.S. housing shortage, according to USA Today, is awful and will likely get worse with no apparent end in sight. Ladies and gentlemen, these articles aren't from years prior. These are from just the last few months. October 2022, December 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go in and Google these articles and read them, you are going to be flabbergasted with what we're dealing with as a U.S. society, and not even just the U.S., this is worldwide. And it's not just being publicized on mainstream media. Look at Biden-Harris administration announces progress to implement its housing supply action plan. The White House is aware of it, and they're trying to put together action plans, and they're trying to tell you that it's only going to take 5 years with their action plan to get rid of the housing shortage. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sit here and tell you guys that it is physically, not humanly possible, unless it's an act of God and God it's himself, to go in and fix the housing shortage in 5 years. Biden, Harris, or any politician, any entrepreneur, there is nobody out there that can fix this housing shortage in 5 years. If we did everything perfect, and we look back at history, it would take us a minimum of a decade without any interruptions in the market. And hence, we're sitting in a recessionary market, slowing down the building process, making the housing shortage even worse. CNBC, U.S. housing shortage will be around for years to come, says Taylor Morris, CEO. All this stuff was recorded in the last 12 months, give or take. Now, where do we get these stats from? Right here, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to look back historically, back to the 1970s. We need currently 6.8 million homes to fulfill the current housing shortage. Most people are sitting back going, where in the world does housing shortage come from? Where did all these babies come from? The baby boomers are far into retirement age and are dying off right now. We have the Gen X population, which is my population. Then we have the millennials. Then we have the Gen Z population. The Gen Z population is bigger than the baby boomers. The millennials are bigger, way bigger, monstrosities bigger than the baby boomers. And we're sitting back, and ladies and gentlemen, we didn't come from that. What happened is what happened on this chart right here. We're currently building, on average, 1.25 million homes per year. Okay, that's per year. Now, we need approximately 30 million homes over the next decade just to stay congruent with the mass growth and need for homes with a population growth.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the Gen X, Gen Z, and the baby boomers. I'm not the baby boomers, the millennials. Now, the problem is that we can't build 30 million homes in the next decade. On average, we only build about 11 million homes every 10 years. So the solution to doing this, ladies and gentlemen, the solution is us. Look at here below. 1970 and 1979, 11 million homes. In 1980 and 1989, 9.8 million homes were built in that decade. 1990 to 1999, 10.7. 2000 to 2009, ladies and gentlemen, the housing market just blew up. Even in the highest height of building, 12.6 million homes. The problem where the housing shortage came from is that the next 10 years, because of the largest financial crisis in U.S. history, when Lehman Brothers collapsed, 2010 to 2019, ladies and gentlemen, we, as a U.S. population, only built 6.5 million homes. we were in a deficit due to the 2008 recession. And then here we are in a recessionary market, and the opportunity only grows, and the need for home only continues to go up. The good news is that there's no better time to sell a new house than right now if you do it under the right business model. We are currently in such a serious housing shortage that, ladies and gentlemen, a mentor of mine years ago told me, Drew, if you find a massive problem, not only find a problem, you find a solution to that problem, you amass fortunes larger than you have ever expected to ever do in your entire life. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a massive housing crisis, and you have an opportunity to profit from it because this shortage is not ending anytime soon. Meet some more of our students. Here's Erica. She has a great personality. Inside new construction in Casa Grande area. I think it's California. $650,000 home. Build cost was $350,000 plus land and everything else. The lot cost her $30,000. She'll make over $150,000 profit on that house, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a group of our investors. The CBP Properties investors over in the Northern California Bay Area. Every single one of those folks in that picture you guys will get to meet. They're all in our buy land build houses. That's for real estate domination, and they're all crushing it up in the Bay Area, Northern California. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what you guys have been waiting for, this and more, okay? The Sweet Spot business model. Here is just one project we have completed using the Sweet Spot business model. In this case, I earned over $160,000 in net profit. Okay, this is a physical home in one of our subdivisions over at 11 Sundagler Loop. You guys can actually Google that home and see the exact same picture. $626,000 home. We made $160,000 profit. Here's the blueprints.
Really? Good.
Yeah.
And so this is another house that we made. This house we actually made over $200,000 on. This is in California, over in the Desert Hot Springs area. And this is a $650,000 build. The lot was stupid inexpensive. And this is a huge Airbnb area, but that's the actual house, floor plan elevation. Here's a finished product to one of our homes. Okay, now we built this house. These are different homes, different trim outs, but these are all pictures from a portfolio of homes that we built. There's the same house that we had showed you earlier. This is the inside of other homes, and so obviously a very attractive home. Okay, now where our sweet spot lies is not competing against the masses, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going out and competing with LGI Homes. We're not competing with D.R. Horton. We're not competing with Pulte. We're not competing with all the massive builders out there. And we're not going out and building $1 million homes because that is the first two markets that get hit during any compressed market or any downturn. First is the median home buyer. That constitutes for 71% of home buyers out there. Anything under $400,000, ladies and gentlemen, stay away from it because the big builders are building in volume. You go and compete with the big builders, your profitability is going to be too small, and your risk and liability goes through the roof exponentially. Those are the homes, the median home buyers that are getting beat up and mutilated right now. Now, luxury homes over 2,700 square feet, homes over $1 million. Ladies and gentlemen, people in a compressed market will not buy those homes unless you're the ultra wealthy. Now, the ultra wealthy only constitutes for only less than 1% of our entire population. So who do we market our homes to? Is 24% of home buyers, ladies and gentlemen, which constitutes for over 100 million home buyers across the United States. And all you need to do is 1, 2, or 3, or 4 of these every single year. You don't need to do hundreds of millions, just a few of them. But it constitutes for 24% of home buyers. That is your target audience. That is who you market to. It's the upper middle class. It's the more affluent middle class. Not the wealthy, middle class. Just the more affluent, upper middle class. Think about your parents, your grandparents, people that have worked a career their entire lives. They've went out, they've saved money, this is their second home, they've sold that home, they sold it cash, they retire, they sell, and they come out with a little nest egg, buy one of these houses cash. Ladies and gentlemen, people that are in the upper middle class don't get affected as much by a recessionary market and inflation like we have today. So your target audience, our target audience in 2008 is the same target audience that we hit today, and it's the more affluent. Okay, not the wealthy, just the more affluent middle class. They can afford stuff like this. This is an attractive product. This is exactly what they're looking for. More products, finished product, different house, beautiful backdrop. God, I love the mountain like that. And the interior of another one of our homes, that cantilevered ceiling there to see that beautiful, gorgeous view in the back. And you can get creative. Sky's the limit. The options are endless. Here's some more of our builds. These are some that we did over in the Pacific Northwest, Kirtland, Washington area to be exact. And we're doing more of them just like that. But there's a specific process that we use. And this is what we train the girls in our office every single day. Okay? So if an employee that is making under $20 an hour can come in and duplicate this 12-step process, you can too. Because one thing I know about you is that if you're somebody who invests in themselves, which you are because you're here today and you're investing the time, wisdom, information, and knowledge, you're somebody that wants to aspire to do more. So one thing I know about you guys is you guys all are of the upper echelon of people that love to invest in themselves and self-education. And so it's just understanding the exact process, which I like to go through it with you here today. First, you have to find the right area, ladies and gentlemen. You have to find an area where homes, ladies and gentlemen, are selling in excess of $400,000. Okay, that's the key. You don't look for land. That's number two. You find the right lot. How do you find the right area and the right lot? What you do is you go into areas where the upper middle class live. And it's in every city across the United States. Every major city, every state across the country has a more affluent area. Not the wealthy area, just the more affluent. And so you want to go into these areas and you want to make sure that comps, that brokers can confirm that houses are selling in excess of $400,000. And if the houses are selling for in excess of $400,000, we know that area is a prime area to build in. And if houses range anywhere between $400,000 and $800,000, that's the sweet spot. Then, once we find the right area, then we can go in and we can find the right lot. That's when we start driving around that area and looking for land. Okay, that's step number two. Now, number three, we have to assess the project, the price point, and the comps. So we got to confirm it, right? We need affirmation. I want to know, without a shadow of a doubt, that when I sell my houses in that area today, even in this recessionary market, are selling in our business model. Houses in excess of $400,000 and just below $800,000. Okay? Now, for those of you guys that are more affluent areas like California, Southern California, Northern California, Washington State, Seattle, Miami, New York City, you can hit up to $1 million. But the mass majority of the continental United States, 95% of you guys want to stay at $800,000 or less and indefinitely want to stay in excess of $400,000. But we want to get confirmation from the brokers stating that the houses over the course of the last several months have been selling for the price range, the sweet spot that we are telling you guys here. So you need to get price points and comps of what those houses are selling for. Number four, you want to underwrite your house in detail. So in our week number 4, when we go in through our entire modules that you guys will have access to all of them, we have an Excel spreadsheet. A spreadsheet that my dad and I sat down, we wrote and created over 25 years ago. We still use it today. Obviously, it's evolved since then, but it's yours. I give it to you guys as a free PDF as part of our program to be able to come in here and underwrite in depth. So you can reverse engineer the entire bill. And the first one's the hardest because you've never underwrote a deal and you've never underwritten it in detail. But once you do it once, you can utilize and repurpose that underwriting for every single house, fix and adjust based on real numbers that you've had in real market, real life circumstances, and then just detail it out to a T. But you can underwrite and reverse engineer it from the get-go, even if you don't know what you're doing, and understand what your profitability is from day one before you get into the build. That's why fix and flippers, pay attention. This is where you decrease your variables and minimize loss and liability. Number 5, you need to go through your pre-development checklist. So on every home that we build, every building that we build, we go in and we say, okay, do we have the appropriate land use? Is it zoned correctly? Now, most times in residential, it's super simple. Most of it is always zoned correctly. Sometimes if you're dealing with agricultural land, you need to subdivide or change the zoning, but you want to always confirm that you have the appropriate land use approved by the city that you live in, and it's approved for building single-family residential homes. Now, do you have a viable business plan? This is the business plan, ladies and gentlemen. The business plan being one that hosts a profit for you at the end when you sell it, confirmed by your brokers, and what we just went through in the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 steps prior to this. Now, zoning and special use approval. Okay, so some of you guys that are doing Airbnbs, you guys are doing ADUs. Okay, so for those of you guys, additional dwelling units, like you're building a house, plus you're building an additional dwelling in the back. If you're going to do stuff like that, you need to make sure that the zoning allows that you have special use approval in order to do that. So for those of you guys who are doing short-term rentals, Airbnbs, make sure that you have approvals if you're going to be buying and holding. Make sure that you have the blessing from the city or municipality that you're actually building it. Otherwise, if it's zoned correctly already, then you just go ahead and move forward, but you always want to confirm that it's zoned for residential single-family builds, okay? Most areas that are going to be sold in most areas are going to be approved for it, but you always want to confirm, never take it for granted. Now, you want to confirm your utilities, their availability, and their cost. This could be make or break. So on every job, we call the utility companies and we call the surveyor out immediately. We tell the surveyor, can we get an improvement location report? Can you confirm the utilities and where they're located on this property? Whether they're overhead electrical lines, is there sewer, is there water? And is there sewer, is there water, and is there electric, and is there gas? Now, if you don't have a sewer line, you can always put in a septic tank in most scenarios, but you have to have the right acreage to do so. So you just want to confirm if the lot is big enough to be approved by the state engineering department to be able to get a septic tank in there. If there's no water, you can always do a well. But the price of the well has to come down because wells are typically pretty expensive compared to just connecting to city water. So you want to make sure that the lot price is a little bit lower. We will teach you that process. We will teach you that. And if there's no gas, you may want to build the house all electric or all solar. Or you can go back in and you can do no gas and do LP, which is propane. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you want to confirm that stuff. Now, so we'll go and we'll always confirm that. We'll assess infrastructure and hydrology. Okay, so we want to make sure that the lay of the land supports our build. We don't have to have a massive amount of retaining walls or expensive costs that we'll never get out of the house. We want to make sure that we're not in a flood zone, that we're not in an area that would otherwise be compromised through wetlands or something that would compromise a lot. So I always tell people, if it's your first build, try to find a flat lot that's not in a flood zone or have its wetlands in it, and just utilize smart assessment by getting a lot that makes sense where it's not sitting up on a hill and there's a bunch of falling dirt that needs to be retained, because hence the cost of retaining walls can get expensive. So just keep it simple, okay? Hundreds of people, part of our business model, flat lots, and we'll help you with that. Estimate construction costs. Again, that spreadsheet, week number 4. We'll go in there, we'll assess the construction costs, and we'll reverse engineer the entire build so you know exactly what your costs are going to be before you start the project. Construction and project management. How to facilitate and manage this step by step, sequence by sequence, so that you can migrate through this in a timely fashion. Because even what I tell people, even more so than money, the cost of it, time. Time will cost you money, especially if you're servicing debt and loans to build this house. So we want to make sure that your construction and project management is on your checklist, and you have a management plan that is successful for you to follow in order to be able to go out and facilitate this build in a time frame that makes sense. Now, completion and progress plan. Step by step, completion and progress plan on how to sell the house, how to get rid of it, how to get your profits. Okay, that's part of our pre-development checklist. We want to know these items from start to finish. Number 6, build a team of contractors and professionals. Okay, so for those of you guys who are not contractors, it's okay. Those of you guys who don't have construction period experience, okay. We're going to teach you guys multiple ways to find contractors. There's 3. 1, you can find a contractor, because some of you guys won't be able to get loans unless you have construction experience. And if you don't have construction experience, you just have to find a contractor that has construction experience. And there's 3 different types of contractors. There's what's called a value-add contractor. There's a cost-plus contractor, which means they work on a percentage. Typically, it's about 15%, the cost of materials plus labor, and then they have 15% to that cost. So if you teach the management of that house, you can do a cost-plus model with that contractor. The second type is you can hire that contractor as a consultant. And if you hire them as a consultant, then they can come in, they can help you pull permits, and then you build the house if you feel capable enough, and you just consult with them when you need it. Now, most people are charging you between $5,000 and $20,000 to consult with them through the process of building the house if you build it yourself, and they're just your consultant. Or you can do a bid model, where they go in, they actually bid the house at a flat fee to go in and build the house for you. Now, be careful with bid models, because a lot of times, if they feel that there's a lot of liability working with you, they're going to bid it higher and hence take your profits. And so I like, personally, the cost-plus model, which is what we utilize in other cities that I don't live in, because I can manage the project from my office, and I can manage costs, and I can manage their bid before they actually get started, because I require them to get my bids before they start. And I can mitigate risk, costs, and expenses, and just do it through the means of managing paper through the process. So any 3 of those are perfect ways to come in and utilize the hiring of contractors and a professional team. Build process and sequence of events, okay? So you want to have the building process from start to finish. The dirt work, you want to do the architecture, all the softies, then the dirt work, and then from the dirt work, your pad site, then your foundation, and your rough-in for plumbing. Then your foundation, the concrete actually goes down, or your stem walls, and then your floor joists, and then your vertical with your framing. Then you come in and you do your electrical rough-ins, you do your plumbing top out, you do your heating and cooling rough-ins, and then you have your low voltage, alarm systems, all that stuff going. Then you get all that inspected, frame inspection, get your roof dried in, you get your roofers out there, then you go and you start insulation and drywall. And after insulation and drywall, you come in, you have your closets come in, your doors come in, you have your painters come in, and you have the house painted. You start your exterior facades, your stucco, your what's called a brown coat, which is a concrete coat, and your siding, and that stuff goes in at that time. And then on the interior, you start your trimming, you start your floors, you start your heating and cooling trimming, you start your electrical trimming, you get your cabinets in, you get all of your countertops in, then you start your plumbing trimming, and then you start just cleaning up the house, making it beautifying. You have to have a sequence of the building process and a sequence of the events of when people are scheduled and how things are facilitated. That is super important. This is 12 steps to build a house. We'll teach you that. Now, finance options. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where most people don't understand. So we'll teach you how to go out and get private money. We'll teach you how to get institutional money from banks, lenders, local credit unions. We'll teach you guys how to raise private capital, okay? And even do some owner finance deals on the land until you get through the entitlement process, and we'll teach you how to go out and get money through the means of these. This is money in building houses, ladies and gentlemen. These are floor plans. These are prints. These are architectural designs. And through the means of doing this, ladies and gentlemen, this opens doors right here for money. Right here. This is what opens doors for money on your bill. This is the key component. So we'll teach you exactly how to put this together so you can get revenue to build your house each and every time. Facilitate infrastructure, construction processes, and renovations, okay? So we'll teach you how to go in there from the very beginning and assess and facilitate infrastructure, the dirt, what's required as far as civil engineers, as far as tractor companies, what's called land modifications, LSM, the construction process from start to finish, or the renovations on big commercial projects, okay? Stabilizing your development, Okay, so step number 10 of 12 on building a house is stabilizing it, finishing it, getting your certificate of occupancy. Once they come in, they sign, seal, and deliver and give you a certificate of occupancy, you can now sell the house. So then once you're allowed to sell the house and your development is stabilized, your build is stabilized, you can close on the house. And there is closing requirements, warranty stuff that you're going to have to facilitate. Making sure there's an inspection period to get that certificate of occupancy, running through all of this stuff so that way you meet 100% of the closing requirements and you don't get to closing. The closing company sells you, Paul, it's a new build. You can't sell it because you haven't got a certificate of occupancy, or because you don't have electric or power or something, which hence you can't get your certificate of occupancy without doing that stuff anyways. So nonetheless, we'll teach you the exact closing requirements needed to finish that house, sell it. That way, step number 12, you can repeat the process. Now, here's 5 design tips to help you sell your home, especially right now during the recessionary market. This stuff is extremely essential and advantageous. Pay attention. Keep your house, ladies and gentlemen. This is the sweet spot. I'm dropping you guys information throughout this entire training about our sweet spot. If you guys are taking notes, don't miss it. Build your home between 2,000 and 2,600 square feet. You could build it a little smaller if you're in areas that are building homes slightly smaller, but don't go under 1,550 square feet. But if you could build between 2,000 and 2,600 square feet, you're sitting in the prime sweet spot of homes in this demographics. Once you get over 2,700 square feet, forget it, ladies and gentlemen, that's a luxury. In recessionary market, you don't want to be including luxury items. You need what people need more than what they just want. They want something nice and attractive, but they need something between 2,000 and 2,600 square feet. Anything over 2,700 square feet becomes, more so than anything, a luxury item. This is not a market for luxury items, so we always keep our builds right around that 2,500 square foot range, give or take. Always use double pane Builder Series vinyl windows. Windows do not sell homes, ladies and gentlemen. I learned this the hard way. I put the most expensive windows in my homes, didn't make a difference. You put the nice quality, simple Builder Series windows, which are the lowest cost windows. They're cost effective and energy efficient, and they sell homes. And I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the profitability goes into your back pocket instead of putting it into something that makes no difference as far as resale, okay? So that's huge. But same thing with doors. Use hollow core 6-panel doors or 2-panel doors that look nice, attractive. I remember watching it on MTV Cribs one year back in early 2000s, and I was putting these solid, nice, beautiful knotty pine doors in my houses. I was paying a fortune for them because my parents had them in their custom home that they built when I was in high school, and I was sitting back going, these people are gorgeous, that must sell homes. I didn't know. So I'm going to teach you these tricks. And then I saw MTV Cribs, and I was like, those doors are junk. But they were in multi-million-dollar homes. So I was like, damn. And I saw it home after home after home after home after home with these doors. And I was like, those doors don't sell homes. So I took out the expensive doors, put the profit in my pocket, and I put the money into kitchens and bathrooms, ladies and gentlemen. High ceilings, beautiful stuff like that. In the kitchen and family room, minimum ceiling height should be 10 feet tall. The rest of the house should be 9 feet tall. Now, I'll tell you, we do 14-foot tall ceilings in most of our builds, but in some of the areas, like in Kirtland, Washington, Desert Hot Springs, California, and some of these other ones, we're building smaller homes, simpler homes for higher sales prices. Then we'll go in and we'll just do 10-foot ceilings because we're restricted on what our heights and our space is because of the density that we're building in, but we never build our ceiling heights in our kitchens and family rooms under 10 feet and 9 foot in our hallways, bedrooms, and the rest of the living areas. Okay? Now, number 4, floor plans with an open fill and taller ceilings always sell quicker. Okay? So have an open floor plan. We do what's called a wraparound floor plan. We have full migration through the whole house, into the garage, into the kitchen, from the front door into the kitchen, into the master bedroom, through the laundry room, into pantries, and the house is so big. So just build an open floor plan. Never restrict the kitchen from the family room. Wives and homemakers, husbands, whoever is staying home, they like to have a full involvement in what's happening in the family rooms and kitchen. So don't restrict by putting walls up there. Open floor plans. Tall ceilings, they always suffer. Always face the back of the house towards the best open view. Okay, first, the most incredible, most beautiful views are the first thing that you build your house towards. Second, if you don't have views, try to face your house towards the eastern sunrise. That sells houses. People like that solar effect, the natural solar effect of those houses. Okay. Now, if you're in a densely built area, that number 5 may not exist. But for most of our demographics, a lot of people like bigger lots and more semi-rural areas. That number 5 is huge. Okay. Views sell homes. Is now the right time to buy land and build houses? Ladies and gentlemen, there is no better time to buy land and build houses. This isn't all the time. Right now, we have high interest rates, so I know you're sitting back going, oh my God, interest rates are high. Yes, but values are down. This is the time to buy decreased valued land. The price of land, because it's worthless to banks right now, they don't want it. It goes down in price, it goes down in value. So if you're building a $650,000 house and paying $120,000 for a lot, you can now pick up that lot for $80,000. That's $40,000 savings. And that's what we're teaching our students. And the house might sell for $30,000 or $40,000 less, but who cares? The cost to build and the price of the house, the cost to build is the same. The price of the house might have went down $40,000, but you just took it right out of the bottom line of your land. So now, hence, your profitability stays the same. I'm going to teach you more tricks just like that in order to maintain profits without compromising quality, ladies and gentlemen. Are we in a buyer's market? Yes. Housing is in the decline right now, okay? But we hit that 24% demographics, which are the upper, more affluent. There is more cash buyers right now than there has been since 2014. And it's because more affluent buyers would rather pay cash than finance because the cost of money is too expensive. Plus, FHA buyers right now, it's all FHA buying is a lot more popular right now than it has been in several years. So they're becoming more attractive again. So there's government assistance home programs that are out there. Now, the cost of money, if you learn the different means of financing, you'll realize that certain banks still have leverage. We utilize credit unions when the recession hit instead of normal, traditional, institutional banks because credit unions are not for profit. They're owned by their members. And so hence their cost for money is less expensive than banks are, so you can typically get better interest rates, even in spite of high interest rates in this crazy market by going through credit unions. Now, a key component, okay? Concerned about inflation. Sitting back on I'm tired of hearing about this inflationary thing. Lumber, ladies and gentlemen, at the time that we recorded this, just went back down to a 2013 low. Okay, we haven't seen lumber prices this low since 2013. Yes, in July of 2022, we hit over $1,400 per thousand feet of board feet. Okay, that's how they price lumber. By 1,000 board feet, it's $1,400. It is $396 per 10,000 board feet at the time we recorded this video. Now, even if it hovers up to $500 per board feet, $600 per board feet, inflation, in spite of inflation, ladies and gentlemen, it's all based on supply and demand. There's less demand for lumber right now. There's a lot more supply, and hence prices come way down. This is your opportunity to build for substantially less. We were building these homes, paying $80,000+ for lumber packages. Now the same lumber packages are costing us under $40,000. So inflation, commodities are still up by over 9% at the time we recorded this video in January of 2023. But ladies and gentlemen, inflation, the pandemic, it's gone, it's behind us. The high interest rates are gonna come, they're gonna go. Inflation's gonna come, it's gonna go. But the need for housing is still so viable. We have over a decade that we need to be, in order to even remotely get close to what we need. And I don't even believe it's gonna take a decade, I believe it's gonna take longer. Okay, so don't worry about inflation. That's going to disappear. But in spite of inflation, prices are already coming down substantially, and profitability is still there. I'm waiting for the market to rebound. Don't wait too long, ladies and gentlemen, because what people were doing when the market rebounds, they're waiting for prices to come down. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, prices are coming down. They're still not even down low enough. We want them down lower. because we can leverage land for less money if we bring prices down lower right now and then go in, build houses, and generate profits. Is now the right time? Are we in a buyer's market? Housing prices declining? We went over this time and time again throughout this video, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we're in a buyer's market. Quality sells. Don't compromise quality. Follow our footprints, follow our plan, follow our exact business model, and if you build with quality, in spite of what's happening in the market right now, your houses will sell. God forbid it takes 30 to 45 days on the market for your house to sell. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout my entire career, from 1999 to today, an average home has been on the market for in excess of 60 days. But ladies and gentlemen, people got spoiled during this market that we just came out of in the height of everything that was happening, and now they're spoiled. But ladies and gentlemen, it takes you 30 to 60 days to make the profit. You're still sitting better than the average U.S. American. And don't panic. Your house will sell if you follow our business model. Now, is now the right time? What about high interest rates? Okay, so we look at the federal funds rate, 62-year historical chart. Look at here, 1980s, we're not even close to that. In excess of 20%. We go down 1990s, in excess of 6%. 2000, in excess of 6%. Then we get into 2008-9, we're in just shy of 6%. Drops massively low right around 2010. All the way as we migrate to 2020. And now people are sitting back in distraught because interest rates are nearing close to 6 and 7%. Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. money, U.S. currency is expensive. It annihilates the rest of the world. Interest rates will go down. In fact, historically, in election years, which is 2024, just around the corner, interest rates historically go down to make, especially on a 4-year term, the president look like a superhero that he fixed the economy, he or she, right? So, right now is a time to buy at devalued prices, make profits, and hence, that profitability, you'll be able to refinance and so will your home buyers in the 2004 projected 2004 market. But right now, don't worry about interest rates, ladies and gentlemen. If I sit back and do a simple mathematical equation to show you the difference of what you're losing in interest and you're going to make in profitability, you'll sit back and go, stupid, simple, drill, makes sense, let's go. Okay? Now, is now the right time? I'm concerned about inflation. Don't worry about inflation, ladies and gentlemen. Inflation is up. Commodities are only up 9%. Housing prices went up in excess of 41% from 2019 to 2022. Even if you go down 10%, we're still up by 30+% of where they were in 2019. So in spite of inflation on commodities only up by 9%, ladies and gentlemen. Continue building houses. Lumber's coming down, and in spite of them being up by over 9% on commodities, still today, we're still up by well over 30% from 2019. So hence, inflation hasn't affected home building profits, okay? It's the pillar and strength of our economics here in the United States. Let me give you an example. Here's a breakdown of a house that I built in 2019. The sales price was $548,000. It's a picture of one of them in the previous photo in the webinar. You go back and click on it. You see that price in the photo actually. The photo actually has that sales price in it. So I wanted you guys to see it. That came off of Zillow. You can go to Zillow today and still find that price, okay? Or Realtor.com. Sales price was $548,000, built it in 2019. The architectural fee, $7,000. Engineering, $5,000. Permit and impact fee, $7,000. Land price, back then, $85,000. Cost to build was less, only $110 per square foot was my cost to build that house. Cost me $272,800 to build a 2,480 square foot house. Utilities to get them to the lot, $5,000. Sales commissions and closing fees, $32,880 and $8,200. My net profit, if you subtract those numbers from the 548, $125,120. That could be your profit, okay? Could have been your profit in 2019. Now, here's what we were doing on the exact same homes with the inflationary breakdown and what happened with inflation of commodities like lumber and the inflation of housing prices. the exact same home. I built that exact same floor plan in 2021. And so in 2021, first quarter 2022, that same exact house is selling for $548, is selling for $749,000. Architectural fees were exactly the same. Engineering fees were exactly the same. Permit and impact fees exactly the same. The land price did go up by $15,000, and the size of the house, the cost to build, went up to $145 a square foot. So it went up over $35 a square foot. Cost me $360,000 to build that house. Almost $100,000 more. Here's what happened to utility costs though. Stayed the same. Sales commissions went up because the sales price went up to $41,000. Closing costs went up because the sales price went up. But ladies and gentlemen, my net profit, if you subtract that from the $749, my net profit was $217,000 during the 2002 first quarter of prices before the market started declining after the second quarter. That could have been your profit. Profits versus inflation. Okay, so listen up. So I'm going to show you guys on the next slide where we are today. Okay, now if you take a look at profits versus inflation, take a look here, ladies and gentlemen. Inflation comes, look at 1990, then it drops back down. Look at 2009. Okay, then it goes back up, drops back down, goes back up, drops back down. Look at 2015. Look at inflationary values, almost non-existent. And then 2022, boom, massive spike. So in spite of inflation in 2022, the commodities, ladies and gentlemen, our profitability went through the roof. So even now, inflation is going back down. So I keep telling you guys, inflation is going to come, it's going to go. High interest rates, they're going to come, they're going to go. But in 2023, even if we see a 10% market compression, which we haven't even seen, the first market sector that's going to get hit is the average median home that's under $400,000. The next asset class that's going to get hit is homes over $1 million. That's historical. These are historical facts. Median homes get hit first. Massive homes for the ultra wealthy get hit second, because $1 million homes are secondary homes for most people, and they get rid of the luxuries. Our market compression in the housing sector, in the sweet spot that we hit, gets hit for less. But even if it takes a 10% compression in 2023, according to the residential housing breakdown that I did before, our original price was $749, 10% compression, right? It was 10% compression of $749, 2022. That means we lost $74,900 in the entire sales price, okay? So if all the other expenses were the same and we just chopped that sales price right out of our profits, 2023, that means our resale price is going to be $674. Hence, remember, if that happens, our sales commissions also go down, our closing costs also go down, and price for land, ladies and gentlemen, you should be paying less for your land. But even if you still pay the exact same price for land, even if you still pay the same sales commission, even if you have the same closing costs, your net profit would still be $142,600. Conservatively speaking, how will you do that? That could be your profit in 2023 and 2024. And that's why we call it the sweet spot business model, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have people sit back and they say, I don't have enough money. I don't know how to get finance. Well, we're going to teach you how to get finance, and 90% of that is right here in these plans. The solution is these 5 foolproof ways to get financing. One of them is the money is in the architectural plans. That's why I put it number 1. That's why I keep showing you guys these. They're right here in these architectural prints. You could go out and do owner financing on the land if you don't have money to buy the land. And as soon as you get these together to get financing on construction loan, ladies and gentlemen, you can go out and get money with these prints alone right here. Okay? We teach you how to get your contractor because they don't have experience. No, that's why we teach you guys how to retain contractors through 3 different methods so that you can get this construction loan. You sit back and say, I don't have good credit. I don't have good credit. I'm going to go over that in step number 5. But for those of you guys, traditional financing is key to be able to implement number 1 and number 2. Okay? Now, you can also do SBA loans. They're a little longer and more drawn out. That's why I like building cash. But traditional financing is what 90% of our students are doing. Now, some of them get started through the means of hard money lenders and bridge loans. meaning it's a bridge loan to get you from start to finish, to be able to get a little bit of money together, like 20 grand, to tie up a piece of land, get some architectural prints put together, and be able to go in and get permanent financing and do a construction loan and build that house up. Or number 5, what a lot of them do is we teach you guys how to go out and be a part of investor meetups. Because as you go out and you do these architectural prints, you put these together step by step, as you do it page by page, from conceptual drawings to finished architecture, you'll be surprised what you can do in private money raising when people understand that you know the process of building a home. And then, yes, you may have to share some of those profits with them. But for those of you guys who have bad credit, who cares? You don't have a barrier of entry right now anyways. So at least if that gives you a barrier of entry, if you have to give up a little bit of your profits on your first, second, or third build, who cares? It gets you in the game. You own the information for the rest of your life. So we'll teach you guys how to use other people's monies, OPM, other people's money, private money, to get you guys started in the game. And there's people, P.S. by the way, in our community of over 400 right now that don't want to build houses. They're just there because they love our business model and our processes, and they're there as investors wanting to invest in people's projects just like yours. Now, can I promise you they're going to invest in you? No. But I can tell you this, that if you learn the process, they are a lot more likely to invest with you if you're a good human being than they will be if you don't understand the process. And that's why it's so important to understand the process. So we'll teach you that means. I'm in a bad area to invest in real estate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if your area is growing demographically, even by 1% or greater a year, you're in a good area. This business model works absolutely everywhere. Now, you might have to go drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe even for some of you guys that live in rural demographic, you might have to drive an hour. But think about it. If you went out and you invested 5 hours a week on site and it took you a 1 hour drive to get there, that's still 10 hours a week. What are you doing today right now where if you invested 10 to 15 hours a week could bear you a profit of over $100,000 net profit? And that's the question. You can buy land anywhere in the country, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter where. Look at this. This gal, Erica, this is a testimonial from her. So I bought land lots in St. Petersburg, Florida, but I live full-time in Austin, Texas. She's part of our program, and she bought. Now, do I encourage you guys to go across the country to buy land and build your first house? Not necessarily. I've always built within 20, 30 minutes of my own home. And now I build all over the country, but I have a bandwidth that's a lot bigger now. So I encourage you guys to build closer demographically to where you live. But it's still viable and feasible. Just like Erica, she had never built before this young lady. You guys will meet Erica. She's amazing. She's a go-getter. But she was buying and building in Florida while she was living in Austin, Texas, because at the time, Austin was just booming and she couldn't even get land for what she felt was a reasonable cost. Although we did have members in Austin buying land and building houses in Round Rock and some of the other areas going up towards Plano at that exact same time. Okay? I don't have enough time. I have a full-time career. Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to sit back with a lawn chair watching your builders build your house. You just need to make sure that you can manage paper and you have the ability to show up and keep an eye for checks and balances and set a status quo for all of your subcontractors. Another one of our students, you can do it part-time. I am excited to learn more. I'm on my second house from ground up. I want to keep doing this as a side business. So this, ladies and gentlemen, was Francisco. Came in as one of our members, and he's doing, this is a second build part-time. I'm not encouraging you guys to quit your job. In fact, I prefer you don't. Keep your cash flow coming in. This will take you every bit of 6 months at best case scenario. It might even take you the entire year to get out of the ground and build. But even if you did, ladies and gentlemen, you'll make a 6-figure profit. Keep your job. You don't need to be doing this. Unless you're doing over 4 a year, you don't need to be doing these. You don't need to quit your job. You get over 4 a year, now you have options. Now it's probably time that you maybe start considering hiring some people or maybe doing this full-time. Okay? But if you're doing under 4 a year, you don't need to quit your job. Okay? I don't know how to hire a team of contractors and professionals. That's okay. I didn't either, and you'll learn. We will teach you how to hire them and where you find your contractors. Ladies and gentlemen, there's people building homes right by you. I go and coach them. This is not a society where we live in a monopoly. You're not taking contractors that aren't for hire. You go out and wherever other people are building homes, we go to those homes. We get phone numbers from these people. We get them from other realtors and brokers that are working with other builders in that area. And some of those builders become our builders. Some of those builders will refer us to other builders or other subcontractors. We will teach you how to build a team. To hire a team, there are just a few things you need to know. What type of contractor? I already went through 3 of those earlier in this video. How much to pay them? We'll teach you exactly how to pay them. I went over that slightly earlier in the video as well. We'll teach you how much to pay. You shouldn't be paying more than $145 a square foot to build out these houses. And that's a damn nice house, ladies and gentlemen. That includes your contractor's fees. We will teach you that. Where to find them. Okay, where to find the contractors. I just talked about that briefly. You know, we go into subdivisions. We work a lot on referrals from brokers, from closing agents that build the title company. The person that sold you the lot more than likely sold other builders similar lots in that area. There's a means of finding these people. I can get dropped off into any city across the United States on a helicopter and a parachute and walk in and get an Uber and drive around where there's new construction, and I will be able to build a team, and we'll teach you that process. When I go in and build my multi-million-dollar apartment buildings, I have one in Dallas right now. It's going to be over a $50 million project, and still to this day, I don't know who my contractor's going to be. Haven't even started looking for them. Not a bit worried about it. We'll start here in the next few weeks. But ladies and gentlemen, they're out there, they're for hire, and they're available. We'll teach you the process of who to hire and how to hire them, and where to find them, and what type of broker you're going to use to help you find the right lots. It's not your sister, it's not your brother, it's not your aunt, not your best friend who just became a broker. They're sophisticated brokers that you will need to utilize that understand those areas better than you do, and are already working with other builders in that area to get you what you need as far as location and the right lot for success. We'll teach you that as well. I'm afraid that my house won't sell. Ladies and gentlemen, worst case scenario, you can rent it. Right now, rental rates are high. Even if you go in with high inflation, high interest rates, and a recession, we are in a serious housing shortage. The chances your house is not selling, if you utilize our business model, are slim to none. Every single one of our homes is always sold, and it's always sold for a profit. We've never had a fire sale of any home that we've ever built since 1999, ladies and gentlemen, and you won't either, unless you stray on your own lonely path someplace, not following our process. Then you might, but otherwise, you don't have anything to worry about in that regard. We will give you means of opportunity that'll hold you solid during this recessionary market to help you sell your homes. Again, just to reiterate, ladies and gentlemen, we need over 6.8 million homes to fulfill the current housing shortage. There's no better time to be building homes. And now there's less competition because the big, massive builders that are building tract homes in the median, they're compressing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your turn, your time to take the bull by the horns and take advantage of our current market status to profit. Here's a worst case scenario, okay? I put this together. I just threw this in here because I wanted to show you guys. Rent versus mortgage. Now, you don't finance out your profit, ladies and gentlemen. Do not do that. You don't finance. You're not going to finance out your real estate fees and closing fees because you still own the house. So if your build cost plus land on the house that I showed you earlier was $414,000, for sake of example, let's say it cost you $330,000 to build the house, and let's say the land itself cost you another $85,000, give or take, to buy the land, and then you had a 6% interest on that. That's $2,100 a month, because your whole cost in is $414,000. Okay, this is on a simple theoretical example of a $650,000 to $700,000 house. Okay, the average rent for a 3-bedroom home is $3,000 a month each and one. So hence, your potential net proceeds is going to be over $900 net per month. If you go out at a 6% interest rate and pay $2,100 a month, but you're not financing out your profit, ladies and gentlemen. So hence, you're okay. Your house will rent. There is not enough rooftops across this country to fulfill right now. People can go out, they can't even get a nice apartment that's 3 bedroom for $3,000 a month, much less one of our homes in our business model. For $3,000 a month, that's a steal, and you still making profit. So that's your worst case scenario. Could I just do this on my own? Yeah, you can. You can go out there. I've only spent 25 years figuring this out for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. You can go try to figure out your kitchens, your layout, and do all that stuff all on your own. And spend hours of research, put offers on land without having consultation or underwriting, possibly costing more money for the in time and for land and making mistakes in your bill. Or you can work with us. Okay? We've already made those mistakes. Why do that? Now, warning, okay? Every deal is different. Doing this on your own can come with a risk of choosing the wrong land, the wrong area, and building the wrong type of home that doesn't fit within our business model. If this is your build, it is imperative that you get it right the first time. Because if you fail at your first one, you'll never do this again, ladies and gentlemen. Your first build is the most important. Because if you have success in your first build, you'll always have success from there forward. Ladies and gentlemen, don't mess it up. Don't jack it up. Pay attention and do it right the first time. Doing it wrong on the first one can set you back permanently, and you may never, ever recover from it. Okay, number two, you can let us give you all the research we've done. Show you the business plan that we have. It's worked for hundreds of people that are already implementing it right now, and it can be you. And it's made them and us millions of dollars. Do it right the first time and get the tools you need to do it. What if you had a mentor to work with you directly to custom tailor the underwriting of every single deal? That's what you get working with our buy, build, flip, and lease. Okay? Now, some of you guys are sitting back going, what's the next step? Book a strategy call. Get on the phone with me or my team. Some of you guys have already made a decision. You guys are ready to get going. You want to work with us indefinitely. And for those of you guys that still need more information, this is your perfect opportunity. As a reward to you guys for watching this entire short training video. I want you guys to get a call with me and my team. Schedule a strategy call. Let's figure out exactly where you are in your life right now, what you are in need of, and how we can help position you to help you get started successfully. There's a link right here. Schedule a call. I look forward to talking with you. I look forward to working with you. But more than anything, I look forward to seeing your results and your success. And all I want at the end of it is a testimonial explaining to the other folks that are just like you, getting started, and you have already had success. We want your testimony to show other people just like you that it's viable and it's feasible, and you're just like them, getting started. Whether you're scared, excited, or stressed out, click below, schedule a call, and let's figure out how we can get you going, buying land, building houses. And the biggest thing that you have right now is the opportunity to succeed. And I give you guys one guarantee, okay? And if you don't make at least $50,000 in profit in the next 18 months, then you don't pay anything at all, period. We will give you 100% refund. It will cost you absolutely nothing. So click below and join our team. There's more success stories of other people that are building houses, just like you. This could be yours, ladies and gentlemen. Will be the next success story on our list. Click below, schedule a call.